I am 92 years old, and I have lived a long life. I've buried my parents, my wife, most of my friends. But there is one moment I would give every remaining day of my life to change. It lasted 7 seconds. My father called me. I looked at his name on my phone, and I pressed decline. I told myself I'll call him back later. There was no later. 3 days after that call, he was dead. You won't remember most meetings. You won't remember most emails. You won't remember most busy days. But you will remember the call you didn't answer. So before this story begins, let me ask you something. If your phone rang right now, and it was your father, would you answer? I am 92 years old. At this age, your world becomes very quiet. The phone doesn't ring as much. The house doesn't echo with footsteps. Even the mirrors feel gentler. They no longer ask who you are becoming. They simply show you who you became. But there is one sound that still cuts through the quiet. A phone ringing. Not loud, not dramatic, just ordinary. And every time I hear it, my chest tightens. Because once, many years ago, that simple sound changed my life forever. I was 49, busy, important, always in a hurry. That afternoon I was sitting in my office, papers on the desk, deadlines, people waiting for my decision. I remember feeling powerful, needed, successful. Then my phone vibrated. I glanced at the screen. Dad. Just that. One word. He wasn't a man of emergencies. He didn't call often. When he did, it was small talk. Weather, work. Are you eating well? The kind of questions you answer while typing emails. I stared at his name for maybe 5 seconds. I remember thinking, I'll call him after the meeting. It's just Dad. He'll understand. So I pressed decline. The room stayed quiet. The meeting continued. Life moved forward. But something small and invisible had just shifted. 3 days later, my mother called instead. Her voice sounded different, thinner. He had a heart attack, she said. And just like that, the man who had carried me on his shoulders, who worked 38 years in a factory so I could sit in that office, was gone. I don't remember what that meeting was about. I don't remember the deal or the numbers or the urgency. But I remember the way his name looked on my screen. And I remember the silence after the ringing stopped. You think you have time. You think there will be another Sunday, another call, another chance to say, I love you. I thought so too. At 92, I can tell you this with certainty. The worst regrets in life are not the things you did. They are the moments you postponed love. And that afternoon, I postponed mine. But the man who missed that call, he was 49, and he believed he understood life. I didn't grow up with money. We lived in a small 2-bedroom house near the factory where my father worked. He woke up at 5:10 every morning. I remember the sound of his boots on the kitchen floor. I remember the smell of metal and oil on his jacket when he hugged me goodbye. He never complained, not when the hours were long, not when his hands cracked in winter, not when the bills were tight. He used to tell me, "Study hard so you don't end up tired like me." I took that sentence and built my entire identity around it. I studied, I worked, I competed, I pushed. By 30, I had a respectable job. By 40, I had a title that made people nod differently when they shook my hand. By 49, I was the man everyone described as driven. Driven. It sounds admirable, but sometimes driven just means running away from fear, from insecurity, from the memory of watching your father count coins at the dinner table. I told myself I was doing it for my family, for my wife, for my children, for my parents. But if I'm honest, I was also doing it for pride. I wanted my father to see me succeed. I wanted him to sit in the audience at some imaginary ceremony and think, "My son made it." The strange thing is, he was already proud. He didn't need the promotion. He didn't need the bigger house. He didn't care about my job title. He cared if I visited. He cared if I stayed for dinner instead of leaving early. He cared about small things. And small things are easy to ignore when you are chasing big ones. I remember one Sunday afternoon. He was sitting in his chair, telling a story from his factory days. I checked my watch 3 times while he spoke. 3 times. As if my schedule was more valuable than his memories. Now, at 92, I would give anything to hear that story again. But back then I was building a life. Or at least, I thought I was. What I didn't understand was this: you can climb very high in this world and still be emotionally absent from the people standing right beside you. And that was the man I was becoming. Not cruel, not heartless, just distracted, just convinced there would always be more time. I want to share the lessons I learned, the ones life didn't hand to me gently. They came with a price: pain, loneliness, regret. I pressed decline on my father's call, thinking I had tomorrow. Tomorrow never arrived. Psychologists call this the future bias, the dangerous belief that time will always wait for us. It doesn't. I want young people to hear this clearly. When your loved ones reach out, answer. Sit for 5 minutes. Listen. The clock doesn't reset. Lesson 2. Love requires presence, not perfection. I loved my wife, but I often chose work over her. I thought perfection at work would make life perfect at home. It didn't. Regret tastes bitter when it's flavored with lost time. She cried alone on nights I stayed late. I didn't notice. The truth is, love is measured in presence, not achievements. Show up. Don't let pride or busyness keep you from holding hands when it matters most. Lesson 3. Money is a lie. I chased money thinking it would buy happiness. It didn't. Money is loud, but it can't hug you when you're scared. It can't stay awake when your child is sick. Young people, hear me. Wealth is only useful when it serves life. Never let numbers replace moments. Lesson 4. Health is silent until it screams. I ignored my body for decades. Fast food, no exercise, long nights. My first heart scare came at 62. The doctor said, "You lived like you had two bodies." Health is quiet. Take care of it now. It won't remind you until it breaks. Lesson 5. Friends die quietly. I had a friend I promised to meet. We said soon, soon, for 10 years. Cancer took him. I never saw him again. Friendship needs action, not intention. Don't wait for permission. Don't assume tomorrow. Lesson 6. Children remember presents, not presents. I bought gifts. I missed soccer games, school plays, ordinary Tuesdays. My daughter once said, "Dad, you were always busy." It's painful. They don't remember what you gave. They remember what you shared, your attention, your time, your heart. Lesson 7. Happiness is small. I chased milestones, promotions, recognition, but happiness is in the quiet moments. Morning sun, shared laughter, a warm meal. Pause. Camera lingers on Daniel's face. Lesson 8. Fear wastes years. I stayed in safe jobs. I avoided risk. I never pursued painting or music. At 92, I see clearly. Regret hurts far more than failure. Risk is temporary. Regret lasts forever. Lesson 9. Death is the only certainty. At 49, I thought death was for other people. At 92, it's the only friend who's always near. It gives perspective, sharp and cold. Do not waste your time. Do not postpone love. Do not postpone life. These lessons are not theory. They are the echoes of a life almost lost to ambition, distraction, and denial. Daniel's voice is trembling but steady. He survived, but he carries the weight of what he cannot undo. And now he wants to share it, so you don't have to learn the same way. I see it every morning, the phone on the table. I remember the vibration. I remember my father's name. I remember the tiny hesitation. 5 seconds, 7 seconds. That's all it took. I pressed decline. I told myself, I'll call him back later. There was no later. 3 days later, he was gone. I don't remember that meeting I chose over him. I don't remember the deal, the promotion, the reason I thought I was too busy. But I remember the silence that replaced the ringing. I replay it in my mind over and over. Did he feel unwanted? Did he think I didn't care? Would he have waited for my call if he knew it would be the last? I tell young people this often. Regret is not about what you do. It's about what you fail to do. The worst moments in life aren't loud. They're quiet. A missed hug, a postponed visit, an email you never sent, a phone call you never answered. I was 49 when it happened. Strong, capable, ambitious. I thought I had time. I didn't. I buried him without ever saying the words I should have said. I love you, Dad. Thank you for everything. I see you. I see all your sacrifices. I thought achievements would honor him. They didn't. What honors love is presence. being there, listening, feeling, saying the words you leave unsaid because you think there will be a later. Every Christmas, every birthday, every ordinary Sunday, I feel his absence. I imagine him sitting across the table, waiting for me to call. And I know he would have forgiven me instantly, but I have struggled to forgive myself. If I could go back, I would answer the call. I would sit. I would listen. I would not rush. Regret is a shadow that follows you, but sometimes sharing it can be a light for others. If I were 25 again, I would answer the phone every single time. I would sit longer at the table during family dinners, even if I was tired, even if there was work to finish. I would apologize faster. I would forgive sooner. I would not let pride build walls between me and the people I love. I would leave work early sometimes, just to watch the sunset with my children, to walk with my wife, to hear my father tell the same story for the 100th time. I would take more photographs, not of vacations or awards, but of ordinary moments. Laughter over burnt toast, muddy shoes at the doorstep, a quiet Sunday morning. I would write letters, real letters, handwritten, not texts, not emails, words that live on paper the way memory lives in the heart. I would care for my body before it reminded me to. I would exercise, eat simply, sleep early. Health is invisible until it breaks. I learned that the hard way. I would call my friends. I would show up, even when it's inconvenient. Life is short, and friendship fades quietly. I would stop chasing illusions, money, recognition, titles. I would understand that none of that matters when someone you love is waiting for a hug or a word or just your presence. I would live with fewer fears, take more risks, fail more often, laugh louder, cry openly. Most importantly, I would live knowing that time is the rarest currency. Every hour wasted worrying, every moment postponed, it cannot be bought back. Young people, if you remember one thing from this old man, remember this. Your parents will not always be there. Your friends will not always be there. Your children will grow up, and you will blink. And one day, you will be looking back, and all you will wish for is the ordinary moments you ignored. Live now, love now, speak now, show up now, because later may not come. I am 92 years old. I have lived through joy and sorrow, triumph and loss. I have loved and lost. I have made mistakes, some small, some that will haunt me forever. And I have learned, too late, the things that truly matter. If you remember anything from this old man, remember this. Answer the call. Sit at the table. Listen. Laugh. Hug. Hold hands. Say the words you are afraid to say. Forgive quickly. Forgive openly. Do not wait for apologies that may never come. Love loudly. Love fully. Do not trade love for ambition, for pride, for things that fade. Do not assume there will always be a later. The later may never come. I missed one call, and for decades that silence has followed me everywhere. It is a shadow, a whisper, a reminder. But you don't have to carry that shadow. Answer your calls, sit for the dinners, call your parents, visit your friends, be present. Because one ordinary afternoon, the phone will ring, and one day it won't. When that silence comes, I hope your heart is lighter than mine was. And when you are old, like me, when your days are slow and the sun falls softly through your window, you will remember not the meetings you attended, not the promotions you earned, not the money you made. You will remember the love you gave, the moments you showed up, the presents you offered. Daniel whispers almost to himself, "Do not miss your call."